Hello everyone. Today we are gonna discuss exorcism. Now, the exorcism we're gonna discuss is the exorcism of Annaliese Michel. So specifically just that one, really. Annaliese suffered with a seizure at some point, and then afterwards she succumbed to depression, and I would say schizophrenia. She began to have an aversion to Christian iconography, Christian symbolism. She couldn't go near it apparently, and there was one case where she wouldn't walk past a cross because of this aversion, and then she began to be blasphemous, right? Or so they say. Anyway, the Catholic Church was initially very, very hesitant about carrying out an exorcism. It's just...
Suspicious item has been detected.
Oh no. Why did I put the lights out? Okay, now we're going to go with this. We're going with this. Okay. And then I'm going to play the exorcism through those speakers. So, yeah, I don't actually believe that what we have here is a possession, if you will. And part of the reason for that is just based on the sound bites that you can hear. Now, this is hot off the heels of the 1973, was it 1973 or 1972 release of the film The Exorcist. So, if you can imagine the guttural sounds, the you know, I'm not going to shout because I'm in a house with other people, but you know, all that is you can do it. You can do it yourself. And then just the quality of the information that she provides. Now, if she was being, I don't know, if she was the vessel for some trans-dimensional, immortal intelligence that exists outside of time and that has some, you know, some greater knowledge, particularly if we're talking about something like Satan. Okay, if we're talking about, and who's often conveyed as being almost omniscient, you know, a masterful manipulator. That's not what we have here. In fact, it's very, very strange when you actually read the subtitles. Here we have this possessed girl, and she's speaking to these two priests who are carrying out the exorcism, although it looks more like an interview here, an interview with a vampire kind of deal. Or is it the interview with, I don't know. I always get that title wrong. Anyway, it's not important what the Tom Cruise film is. She starts talking about how abortion's bad, how people don't pray enough, how people need to respect the Pope, and how the nuns, the sisters, should go about their duties, you know, with all due diligence. And I'm like, what the hell? Why would you say that? Why would the enemy of God say these things? Why would they possess a girl just to shoot themselves in the foot and be like, oh, by the way, respect the Pope and, you know, do your services with a bit more sincerity, you know? Why would you do that? Wouldn't you say something like, I don't know, wouldn't you want to try and reveal something to make the... you know, play the priests against each other, offer some knowledge, offer something like, oh, Father, I remember what you did in 45. You thought no one would know. You know, something like that. You know, play some hand, some underhanded tactic, you know, get into their heads, you know, like they do in the films. But that's not what we have here. What we have here is some really tragic, unfortunate case here. We have this girl, and she ultimately dies. She succumbed to dehydration and starvation. Right there, right there. She just said, I am Nero. If you don't know who Nero is, what you doing, okay? Don't you read history? Nero obviously was the Antichrist referred to in the Book of Revelation, 616 or 666. It's gematria. It's this coding system that was used in antiquity to describe people. It's a sort of secret language that the Jews and Christians used so not to be discovered that they were talking about it. Nero Caesar. And he persecuted Christians famously. So obviously she's out, boom, I'm Nero, and then boom, I'm Hitler, and then boom, I'm Judas, and then boom, I'm all these big players. If I was to believe this, why not be some celestial being from another realm? You know, why not be, you know, make up some guttural sound for your name, and then be like, I'm from this distant place that you cannot fathom. And this is, I know things about this world. I've seen things from the dawn of time to now. But we don't have that. All we have is a little girl speaking about her experiences as being a Catholic schoolgirl. You know, and she only references local geography, like Weinsberg or whatever it is, Weinsberg, where she went to university. You know, and again, all this stuff about respecting the Pope. There. She just said you should be obedient to the Pope there. Yeah, I just said there must be obedience to the Pope. Now this... Now she's saying preach in the pulpit and stuff like that. So she's basically being an evangelist with a scary voice. And it's just, you know, I don't understand how these priests could do this. How they could sit there and listen to this and think to themselves, we are dealing with the devil. Clearly. You know, listen to the things he says. How could a girl know these things? I don't know, it's a little Latino to us. How could you know these things, man? No, you know what I mean? How could she know about Germany and their local geography and speak about she actually speaks about the pews, the seating arrangements in our local chapel as well, local church. I just don't understand. And this voice, this guttural voice... What I don't understand about the whole demon thing is why it would do that. Because what that is, like, if I start talking to you in a scary voice, that's very animalistic. That's biochemical, evolutionary language. That's, I am a threatening predator and you better be afraid. It's very carnal. Is what I would say. It inspires fear because it's different and it's scary. You know what I mean? What I don't understand is if you were dealing with some trans-dimensional intelligence, wouldn't it have some elegance about it? Some kind of sublime quality that you would be in awe of? Would it really sound like an animal? And that's the thing, it's very animalistic. And I think, again, it's because it borrows from the Exorcist film, which came out 3 years before this experience, you know. So I think it's an imitation that she's doing, and maybe not an imitation of the film per se, but certainly from the likes of you know, creepy stories and stuff. You know, speaking in a guttural voice is always synonymous with, oh, that's scary, that's impolite, that's incivil, there's something wrong, you know. So, yeah, I would say certainly not. At this point, she's saying this must be made known to the people that the devil exists. Again, this sounds like evangelism. You know, you must repent, you know, you must turn from your sins or the devil's going to get you, you know, which isn't the gospel message, but it's the way a lot of mainstream Christians misinterpret it. No, as I've said, you know, the Christadelphians, they don't believe in demons. They believe that reference to demons in the New Testament, because they don't really get reference to demons in the Old Testament. It's only in the New Testament where you have that paradigm of good versus evil, you know, because in the Old Testament, God's responsible for everything, you know. However, in the New Testament, it's a bit more nuanced. All of a sudden, God has an enemy now, the devil, you know, and his angels or demons, whatever. So, yeah, I think all this stuff is just in the Bible to give us some kind of an insight. It's to, you know, it's like, you don't quite get it, you don't quite know what's going on in your existence. Here's an easy concept for you. God does everything. And then you get to the New Testament, and then it's like, all right, there's good and bad elements at work. And then maybe a few years on from now, you know, people have an even more evolved spiritual perspective. So yeah, I mean, this guttural voice thing, it's not too uncommon in schizophrenia, and you know, when you're angry, and you know, it's just a product of people, you know, the broken mind. If you don't socialize a lot, if you keep yourself to yourself, and you start to lose your bearings in reality, and then you start to get, I don't know, you just kind of lose yourself in something, you can become schizophrenic, you know, and it's not uncommon to freak out and hear voices, and I don't know the ins and outs of it, but this again, this is just. Here she says the Dutch bishops are heretics. Heretics. So. Whoa. There we go. They're not loyal to the Pope, those guys up there. What? Why is this demon trying to... Why is Nero, Hitler, Judas and Satan, who... weren't those the ones in the Exorcist film? I don't remember if the girl in the Exorcist makes reference to who she is, what spirits are possessing her. But isn't that just from the film, The Exorcist? So yeah, she's saying here, the bishops are not loyal to the Pope. Why, again, why would you say that? Why? It doesn't make any sense. Okay, this whole thing is silly. And basically, yeah, they get charged with manslaughter after her death, but no jail time was served because the parents had suffered enough. And I don't know, the priests got off with it too. It's just a very confusing situation, very confusing. Again, she succumbed to something like schizophrenia, then there's the hysteria after the release of the 1973 release of the Exorcist, I think. And as I say, the Catholic Church was very hesitant about this, and then in the end came out and said, actually, nah, this was not a possession case. And yeah, and as I say, as a Christian, you know, I listen to a lot of different speakers in the Christian faith, and there are some that I respect who do believe in demons, and even go so far as to say they've had first-hand experience of dealing with these malevolent intelligent entities. And I just, I'm like, does that undermine their whole testimony? Or maybe there is something there, because open-minded, there could be an alien existence out there which has evolved past the necessity of a physical body and exists as energy. And maybe I'm trying to be, you know, I'm trying to get my head around about these people in the realms of abstract possibility. Yeah, maybe. So yeah, I mean, I was gonna go somewhere else with that. I just feel like let's just listen to some more of this.
Alles sagen, was du mir zu sagen hast. Im Namen des Vaters und des Sohnes und des Heiligen Geistes. Amen. Immer der Gottes wird dich dazu zwingen. Im Namen Jesu und im Namen Maria. Im Namen des Vaters und des Sohnes und des Heiligen Geistes. Amen. Im Namen des
Yeah, so yeah, you know, it's a sacramental thing. It's not a sacrament of the Catholic Church, but it is sacramental. They don't often do it, the exorcism, but it is important, I think. And there's a Catholic psychiatrist who said, you know, it's important not to underplay the importance of someone's beliefs. For instance, if someone genuinely believes that they are demon possessed, it would be counterproductive to, you know, to fight them on that to the point of antagonism and just making it worse. Sometimes the best thing to do is to maybe play the card a little bit, play the hand a little bit, and be like trying to resolve those things stage by stage. So maybe go along with it. Maybe be like, okay, we'll talk to the demon. We'll see if any kind of therapeutic, if there's some kind of therapy there that can be advanced through that course of action. You know, so it's important to keep the belief system of your patient, you know, in regard. But here, this is just a really bad handling of a tragic scenario, and this young girl died. So, yep, that's my reaction to the exorcism of Annaliese Michel. German, so I say Annaliese Michel. Alright. That's that. I'll just say The Exorcist TV show on Sci-Fi Channel. I just watch it online. It's a great show. Ben Daniels, the photographer from House of Cards, is in it. He's great. I recommend the show. It's really good. Get watching. It's thrilling, lots of suspense, great character development, brilliant performances that really land. They're great, and the graphics are fantastic. It's really fine horror. You know what I mean? Go for it. All the best.